Dr. Patrice, and today we're talking practice with APEA, Advanced Practice Education Associates. Joining us today is CEO and President Amelie Hollier to let us know the tools and resources that are necessary to have an effective transition in NP practice and how to use them. Hi, Amelie.
Good morning. How you doing, Patrice?
I am great. So let's just dive right into everything. First, tell us a little bit about your background and how you got started providing education courses.
Well, you know, I probably came to this in a very unusual way in that I didn't come to be a nurse practitioner through nursing, really. My first degree was in chemistry, and I just love the hard sciences, but I quickly realized that there wasn't a whole lot you could do with a degree in chemistry. And so anyway, I got into nursing, and I went through an accelerated option program, which is like a 15-month crash course in nursing if you have all the prereqs, and I did. And so then I kind of liked it a little bit. I went straight into critical care. I loved it. And I really thought I was going to go into anesthesia. And I realized that I didn't like waking up early. And so anesthesia was not going to be for me. And you know, at the time, you have to think about this, but 25 or so years ago in Louisiana, there wasn't really a nurse practitioner role. And so the advanced degrees you could get in nursing was as a clinical nurse specialist. And I did that in cardiovascular nursing, and I loved it. But that is when the role of a nurse practitioner really became, you know, alive.
Kind of evolved for you, yes.
Yeah, so I jumped right into that program, and that's when I fell in love with nursing. And that's when I fell in love with being a nurse practitioner. I loved it. It was kind of always my dream of what I wanted to do. And so that's kind of how I came to it. And then, you know, there were so few resources for nurse practitioners when I started. And so I was on the treadmill, and this is really how it started. I was on the treadmill and listening to these, to tell you how long ago it was, these cassette tapes.
Yeah.
And the speaker was just like, I'd have to run on the treadmill. I was going to sleep. And so anyway, I thought I could do a better job. And that's really kind of how the company was born. And, you know, now 23 or so years down the road, we now have prepared thousands and thousands of nurse practitioners. And I just feel like it was what I was meant to do, because it's my passion. I love to do it. And, you know, if I can help somebody with a light bulb and see the light bulb go on for them, you know, it makes my day. And really, that's what drives me, Patrice. So that's how I came to nursing. A little bit unusual, but that's how it happened.
One of the things that's amazing, one of the things that precedes APEA is the type of energy that you bring to the front that, once again, invigorates NPs just to really want to do their best. What per se would you say sets your company apart from others?
Well, you know, I think it's more than just a job for me and for all the people behind the scenes. You know, people know me, but my company has a lot of people behind the scenes that really make me look good. I can just stand up and teach, but there's so much prep that goes into everything to make sure that when I have these students with me, that they get the most out of this experience. And so I think really what sets us apart is that I love doing what I do, and I bring my passion when I do it. And the people behind me who work, the team behind the scenes, as I refer to them, they have it too. They love what they do. They enjoy helping, and you know, it just kind of all works. And so you know, I love what I do. I really do. I do that predominantly. I don't think you ever stop taking care of patients.
Right.
You know, you have to be able to do that. But predominantly right now, my role is in teaching, and you know, things have changed a lot since COVID. So now I'm doing webinars via Zoom, and they're live. You know, it's just like being at a live course, except that now I can come into your house, you know? Yeah. So anyway, things have changed a lot, but what sets us apart, I think, is the passion that I bring because I love what I do so much. And the people behind me have just as much passion for what they do as well. And they all love nurse practitioners and they love to help them. And so it's just pervasive through our company.
One of the things I can take away is that you mentioned the keyword passion, team, and prep. And
Yeah.
that when you have the right team and you prepared and you deliver with passion, it sets you up to be a success. Similarly, I feel those are the same ingredients that are needed for NPs to practice. What per se would you say they need to do, or the biggest challenge that is for most practitioners transitioning from novice to advanced beginner?
Yeah, you know, one of the best pieces of advice that I give to students, I precept and I have over the years, I've always told people to be patient with themselves. Rome wasn't built in a day. And you know, as you come in on your first day or you complete your first year as a nurse practitioner, you're not going to know what somebody who's been in practice 5 or 10 years has been. Your goal every day as a practitioner is to learn everything you can every day. And if you do that, at the end of a year, you will have learned so much. And at the end of 5 years, you will have learned 5 times that amount. And that's how you begin to stack your knowledge so that you become, you know, closer and closer to that level, Benner's level of being an expert. It's transitioning through those phases and always remembering to be patient with yourself because you can't learn it all in one day. And just to make sure that you learn as much as you can. You know, that's the advice I give nurse practitioner students. We have a lot of students who take our course, probably a year, you know, away from graduation. Some of them take our review course when they begin their clinical program. Mm-hmm. And I always tell them, if you will go home at the end of your clinical day, and if you saw 7 patients or 8 patients, whatever you saw as a student, 16 patients, if you will go home in a clinical guidelines book and just do a quick review of the disease that each one of those patients had and do it every single time. And it doesn't matter if you've seen 25 people who have hypertension, continue to go through that guideline. You will be a cinch and sail through your board exam because this is all about repetition. Everything is about repetition and learning the finer points. And, you know, that's what people do as they progress from a beginner all the way through to an expert. So just be patient with yourself. It's going to come along. And if you ever have a question, a doubt about whether or not what you're doing is the right thing for this patient, you know, it's kind of a joke in my classes. I always say, excuse me, I'll be right back. Go look it up. You know, go look it up. There's no shame. And you know what? When you come back in that exam room, you can look at the patient with confidence and know that you're about to give them the right plan or tell them the right thing. And then the next time that patient and scenario comes in, you'll know exactly what to do. That's how you build your practice. So be patient as a nurse practitioner. It's going to come. And even more, you need to be patient with yourself as a student. It's going to come. You're going to join the best profession on earth. You really will.
It is the best profession on earth. I can co-sign to that. One of the things that you just mentioned was that basically in being kind to yourself. And I was just thinking that goes along so much with being okay with being new. Sometimes it's like people want to go from the egg all the way to being the toddler versus realizing there's a whole process of development that needs to occur. And the other day I took some time out to visit your website and I noticed there were some excellent resources that pretty much can help the students, the new grads along the way so they can be better practitioners. Can you tell us the sources that you have right now for the new grads and explain how they can use it to enhance their practice?
You have to go into your clinical practice with certain tools that will help you be able to do your job. You know, a good resource for labs, a good clinical guidelines book. You know, I'm obviously prejudiced because I think mine is the best one on the market, but you got to go in with some tools that will help you do a good job. those tools, a lab book, a clinical guidelines book, something that will help you with radiology, anything like that is as important as, your stethoscope. Making sure that you have good apps on your phone are just as important as your stethoscope and a clear brain that you bring into your practice. So everybody needs something a little bit different. And that's why I can't say, oh, you need a this and a this and a this, and this is your list of 10 things to start your practice with, because everybody's a little bit different. The practice you're in will be very different. And so it also depends on how you learn. We have a lot of people who still like paper. They like paper books, and so they load their pockets down with whatever. Other people prefer, one of these. And so it kind of just depends on what kind of practice you're in. But I would tell you, I know that money is always short for people when they come out of a program. They really haven't started working yet, but you need to make sure that you have tools that will help you be a safe and excellent nurse practitioner. So, there's some basic things, and I mentioned the clinical guidelines book. If you're an online learner, that clinical guidelines book is in like an online resource called Care on Point, which is great when you start your practice, because every time you look up a diagnosis and you review, you go through it, you earn contact hours. So they just accumulate over time. So you have to have some resource for whatever area of practice you're in. And you know what else you should have? You should have a group of friends, NP friends who are in different practices, who can be a resource to you. So, there's just a world of resources that will help make your life and your practice easier and safer.
When you say that they should have a group of friends as resources, are you per se meaning like NPs of different specialties, like having an NP friend that works in cardiology or dermatology? That way you're able just to, you have more access to variability if you have questions.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. And I usually tell people, tell students I meet, listen, start building, and I call it your circle of friends. Okay. These are NPs who work, as you said, cardiology, oncology, orthopedics, rheumatology, endo. You'll meet them. And I always thought as a primary care provider that, well, I probably wouldn't, they don't want me in their circle of friends. Oh, but they do. I remember one time getting a call from one of my orthopedic people, one of the circle of my friends, and she said, Amelie. And I remember I would always send fractures and difficult orthopedic things to her. And I thought, what good am I? I'm in primary care. I know a little bit about everything, not a lot about any one thing. And she called me and she said, Amelie, oh my God, I need you. I said, what's the matter? She said, I got a patient here. I think it's shingles. I don't know what to do about that. And I thought, oh my goodness.
You're like, that's up my alley.
I see shingles all the time.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show you that your body of knowledge is more specialized than you think. So create your circle of friends. They're going to need you in primary care or in cardiology, wherever it is you work. They're going to need you as much as you need them. So listen, one of those people in your circle of friends needs to be a psych NP. I'm not kidding you. You're going to see so much psych, regardless of what area you are in. So, I have my psych NP friend, but you got to have one in your circle of friends.
Okay. Well, yes, I definitely agree, especially during times like this with us.
Right.
At the time of filming this, we are still in the COVID, the
Right.
COVID epidemic. And at this time, we need each other more than ever before for resources on how to move about treatment. Because it's really not about, one of the things I like to reinforce is not just delivering the care, but it's making sure that it's qualified care for the proper reimbursement and making sure that it's complete. So there's no gaps in it. So even if the person has to be discharged from under your care, that you're referring them to the right specialty.
Exactly.
And that's, again, why I like what you mentioned about having that circle of varying knowledge, because that body of knowledge is more special than we think. So,
right.
So this is the time, my favorite time of the interview, where I get to ask you to share words of wisdom with the NPs, but you've been putting out so many nuggets. So, is there something in particular that you would like to add in closing that every NP should know?
Oh, goodness, Patrice. I don't know. I mean, I guess I tossed out a few of them even without realizing, but I guess maybe the most important one is to remember to be patient with yourself. It really is. Give everything that you can every day, but remember to take good care of yourself because, as somebody famous and really smart said, you can't serve from an empty vessel. And
Mm.
so, especially when you are in a busy practice and you're starting your practice, I tell people all the time, you're in the steep part of the learning curve. So you got to be kind to yourself, take care of yourself, and be patient with yourself. And if you can do that day in and day out and learn those good habits, for self-care, I think you'll be a great NP. You just got to keep on moving forward every day.
Well, thank you, Amelie, for your time and sharing a wealth of information with us so we're able to jumpstart our practice effectively. How can the viewers get in touch with you if they just wanted additional information?
Patrice, they can always reach me through our website. It's Amelie, which is a hard name to remember, but you could put in questions at apea.com, and it'll always get forwarded to me by our office. But that's an easy way to reach me, Amelie at apea. But Amelie is a hard name to spell, so just put in questions. I'll be happy to reach out to them, and that's part of what I do. So if I can help you, I'm always willing to help people in our profession. And speaking of professions, I'm so proud of the business that you've created, Patrice.
Oh,
It's
thank you.
terrific. There's a void in our profession, and you got it. You nailed it. And so thank you for doing that, and thank you for being a great part of our profession. Thanks, Patrice.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. And everyone who's tuning in, we are grateful that you took the time out just to hear the words of wisdom from one of the best that is out there. And continue to follow us for our next segment here at NP Student Mag, the definitive voice of NP students. You have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share.